Hey boyos. Daily check-in with John V. I don't think I've done one of these in a couple days. It's August 25th, 2024. But yeah, everything's going well. Um, I'm not sure what to talk about today actually. I might keep it short. Yeah, my meal pictures or videos that I put, um, it always looks really crappy, the food, because the lighting. For some reason my phone, when I take any videos, the lighting makes stuff look discolored. And like the steak with sauerkraut, baby corn, and sweet potatoes, that was an amazing meal. That was incredible. But on video, it looks like crap. It looks like a boiled steak and boiled vegetables. And it definitely was not. It was cooked in a frying pan with some oil, and that's it. So, it's just the lighting, right? Like, that's a top tier goat meal. Like, it was incredible. I'm probably going to have a similar meal tonight, here around like 9 o'clock, 9:30, and I'm thinking steak with sauerkraut and canned peas and carrots and potatoes this time. But yeah, it's a incredible meal. So it's just the lighting makes it look like shit. Because I know a few of you boyos got after me about it, but really though, like I'm willing to compromise quality and even taste in favor of, health. Like if the meal has good macros and is healthy, um, if it's like mediocre tier for taste and quality, I'm fine with that, right? Because right now I'm just all about the weight loss, and the weight loss is happening really fast. I'm right on schedule. 11 pounds lost in a month is really good, really really good. And I am expecting for month three to be fairly significant as well, because the final water weight will come off from going off creatine, right? So I'm expecting another 10 or so pounds for a third month. Then after that, it's going to get a little more iffy, and then it's going to be 7 or 8 pounds a month, most likely. But I'm anticipating when I get down to the final 20 or 30 pounds that I want to come off, it's going to be tougher, and I'm going to have to start doing more cardio if I don't want to just crash diet and get like 1200 calories a day. I'm going to have to crash, or I'm going to have to do some cardio, start walking like an hour every day or something. But that's not now, so I don't have to worry about it. um I did make some purchases on Temu. Two purchases, like two big orders, because they made me offers because they were considering me a new customer to Temu, because I haven't used the site in a few months. So they offered me two free gifts twice with orders, right? So the first order, I bought squat shoes and a nice designer jean jacket for the nicer weather. And for my free stuff that I got a t-shirt and a three three water jugs. Those containers. They're like this tall. They're like a liter, and they marked on the side how much is left. Three of those in a like a little value pack of those. And then the other order, it's literally like six T-shirts, a box of cigarette papers, and something else. And like two of the T-shirts were free. So, like in total, both orders were like $160, and then I got refund adjustments because in the time that I made the two orders last night to now, some of the products dropped in price, so I got credited back like over $30, which is cool. Um, but yeah, I only did that to take advantage of the new customer offers that they were offering me again. I still have in the works that I have to call my bank about during business hours. The fucking refunds that I was supposed to get for some of the products that I got originally a few months ago, because I contacted Temu and complained about some of the products, saying that they were trash, not what I was expecting, and they gave me full refunds, said it'd be issued to my bank in a certain amount of time, and it never happened. and I keep checking, and it's been a few months, and they've had ample time to credit it back, and they've sent me the reference numbers for each refund, so I have to contact my bank during business banking hours to open a dispute for these charges. There's almost $100 worth, right, of refunds I should be getting, and I'm not letting it slide. I'm not filling Team U or RBC's pockets with fucking money, right? My money that I could be using, especially being on disability, making less than 1,000 a month, right? Every dollar really counts right now. Um, but as far as groceries go, like I've been really conservative and haven't been spending a whole lot on groceries. And when my steaks are gone, I have two steaks left, one for today, one tomorrow. I'm gonna start eating more like beans and legumes and stuff like that. Making like some homemade chilies with like chili with like tomatoes and kidney beans, baked beans, maybe corn, you know, stuff like that, onion. Um, just because that's gonna be cheaper than buying fucking steak, I think. Um, so I'll be doing that, I think. Um, because I am getting a little tired of steak. It's just when I put the sauerkraut with the steak, it makes it a lot more appetizing, right? Because I'm getting so sick of steak. And obviously, I don't have a lot of options at the grocery store for meat because hamburger, the cheap hamburger they always have that's like $8 a pound or so is like medium ground beef, and I'm not eating medium ground beef because it's full of fat. It's considered a fat source because it's so fattening. Like the extra lean or even lean is way too costly. It just costs too fucking much. If I do make some chili, I might buy some ground beef, but I don't know what I'm gonna do about that because the ground beef, like I was saying, is so fucking fatty. Um, I might go with like, cause they do have ground beef at the store. They call it lean ground beef. That's in these little circular tubular packages, and but it's not, because when you read the nutrition information on the back, it has the same macros as fucking regular ground beef. And I think that tricks a lot of people. They see it and they're like, "Oh, that's extra lean." It's actually not. It's regular. It's fucking trash, but you can get like 4 pounds for $10. So I might get that, and once I combine that with kidney beans and tomatoes and black beans and maybe some baked beans, it would improve the macros a lot because the only fat source would be the hamburger, right? And all the beans and baked beans would be given additional protein, right? But one thing I want to avoid with that is when I make a meal like that, it makes so fucking much that I would have to refrigerate it in my fridge, and I don't like refrigerating cooked food because it tends to rot on me, especially now that I'm dieting, because I'll eat relatively small portions, and I overestimate when I always cook and make too much, so food rots. But I might do that. I try to cut more costs. I do have my hammer curl bar coming in the mail sometime in the next, week to 11 days. It said the order has been shipped, so it's not out for delivery. It's just been shipped. But I'm excited to get that so I can start doing hammer curls with a bar, right? Um, I might even do tricep work with it, like um, skull crusher type stuff, right? That'll be cool. Um, but I haven't lifted in 3 days. Last night, the night before, or the night before that, which is fine because the most important thing right now is my diet. I don't slack on the diet at all. I do slack on the lifting a bit because the lifting is not a factor in losing weight at all. It's not a factor. It's not like if I do more workouts, I'm going to lose weight faster. The difference is so minimal that it's not worth worrying about, right? And as long as I'm getting 2 workouts a week in, I'm happy. And generally, I'm getting 3 in, so I'm happy. When I get down to my goal weight of 175, that's when I'm going to buckle down and actually put in like 4 to 5 training sessions a week, right? To try to improve my strength because I'll be eating at maintenance, right? Um, but yeah, still a long ways to go till the next Magic draft, right? Because it's only Sunday, so it's essentially next week Thursday. So, but I'm excited for it, and I'm anticipating it's not going to have a large turnout of players. It's going to be similar to what we had last time, this last Thursday. It's going to be like 6 or 7, 8 players, and obviously the prize pool is going to be crap. But we will see. We will see. I'll still play, right, regardless, because I enjoy it. And $36 for an evening of enjoyment and fun is not bad, right? Obviously, it would be amazing if we had like 25 or 23 people, because then, first place winnings would be like 12, 14 packs of cards, and then it's really worth the money. And like this last time I went, I could have got first if I hadn't have fucked up against my opponent, but I fucked up, was trying to play too fast, and it just cost me the match, so I got third instead of first. So it could have been worse. I could have got fourth because my final match against my last opponent, it was to decide who gets third, who gets fourth, right? And I beat him, so it put me in third. So it's not horrible. I think that's the first time I ever placed third place. I always place first, second, or just bottom out and get like 10th place or something stupid like that. And I can probably count on one hand how many times I haven't got first or second place, right? That's how good I am. Um, but third place, you know, occasionally getting third place, I'm happy with that. That's still really good. Like, you know, out of 7 people, third place is not bad. Especially when I fucked up and could have got first, right? Um, but arm wrestling, there's no arm wrestling tonight because there's a competition in PEI. PEI, all the guys are going to, right? So next Sunday, I'll be going to arm wrestling practice, of course. And I do have a blood work appointment tomorrow in Middleton. Most of you boys probably don't even know where the fuck Middleton is, but it's not far. I'll be going to that blood work, and then on like the 4th, I have another fucking appointment in Middleton as well. And actually, the appointment tomorrow, it's not blood work; it's at a clinic, and I'm not even sure what it's for, but I'll find out when I get there. Um, but I have quite a few things I have to do. Like I still have to make an appointment for the doctor to fill out the papers and send them off for my disability tax credit. Um, and I haven't gotten around to that yet. And I still have to call the bank during business hours to dispute the refund that I'm supposed to get from TMU, right? Um, but yeah, I still have a low stress lifestyle, right? Hardly any responsibilities, no stress. The schizophrenia has been worrying me a little bit because I wake up in the morning and I'm not completely grounded. I'm a little bit delusional. I'll be having these really crazy thoughts about things, like the one about, thinking, like the other day I had those thoughts when I woke up that some secret organization was trying to turn me into a cyborg via satellite, right? And it was like a Matrix thing where they were going to make my reality kind of difficult, so I'd accept it. Because if they made my reality really easy, I would rebel against it, knowing that it's not real, right? And, you know, I see it for what it is. It's just a delusion, it's not reality. But initially, when I first wake up, it's a little hard to distinguish. But once I get up, start moving around, doing stuff, then the delusion just dissipates and it's gone. But like this morning, I had similar delusions as well when I first woke up. And I shouldn't say this morning, I should say this afternoon because I got up in the afternoon. But I started having some delusions right when I first woke up, and they dissipated shortly after getting out of bed and getting around and stuff like that, right? So it's not a big concern. That's been going on for years, like off and on. I'll have delusions when I first get out of bed. But apparently usually symptoms are usually most medical symptoms are usually worse at night. So that's typical. And I don't want to take a higher dose of my antipsychotics medication because I don't want to be on any medication as it is. I don't want to take more. And if my symptoms are, if they're manageable, then it's fine, right? And the medication I take for it, it amplifies certain negative character traits. Like if you're antisocial and a loner and don't really socialize with people, it will amplify that and make you more so. So that's part of the reason why I don't want to up the dose of that medication because like I hardly socialize at all. I don't meet new people. In the time I've lived here with my sister, 3 years, um, I've only met a small handful of people, very small handful of people, and they're all people I have no interest in. Now, like when I went to the game store and went to arm wrestling, I met people there, and those are people I have an interest in, right? But maybe I'm exaggerating a bit because there's plenty of people they don't get out and meet people very often at all, right? Um, like I know people in real life used to be friends. They're not friends with me anymore, but like one of them he uh he just stays at home from what I remember from when we were still friends. He would just stay at home and play video games all day on his computer. That's all he would do. He wouldn't go out and socialize. He wouldn't go to any events or, you know, anything. He wouldn't go anywhere. And literally he wouldn't go anywhere. His excitement was going to the grocery store to buy some groceries like every 2 weeks. And that's it. And then I have a friend in the city, or used to be friend, because we're not really friends anymore. But he's the same way. And I swear, in the past 5 years, since the last time I spoke with him, he probably hasn't spoken to anyone in that time. I mean, that's an exaggeration. He probably has, but he just he socializes so little. It wouldn't surprise me if he's hardly spoke at all in that time. Um, so I'm not the only one. The world is full of men that have no social life, right? Full of losers and loners that with no social life. It's not just me. And I'm actively trying to improve my life. Like, um, a lot of these men I've known, they try to improve their life. They try to better themselves, and there's a lot of them that don't. They make no effort to be in shape or eat healthy or anything like that. It's literally just games from morning to night, sleep, games again, and that's it. Um, but yeah, I can't wait to play Magic again. But it's still a long ways off, right? Still a long ways off. But I'm thinking if when I move back to Halifax and get my own apartment on fixed income housing where they take 30% of my income as rent, I'm gonna try to get somebody to rent the bedroom, and I will live in the living room, and charge buddy whoever it is that moves in with me like a few $100s a month, because a few $100s a month will go a long way for me. But I'm going to be really selective about who I get, because I don't want some stranger, some bum that's off the street just move in with me, right? Because I don't want to, you know, go away for a day, come back and have my shit be gone, and, have all my stuff stolen, right? And I've had bad living situations with other people. Like I've had some decent ones and I've had some bad ones. I prefer, like, if I rent my bedroom to somebody I actually know well and have known for years. Like my used to be friend in the city, I used to live with him, and it was a one bedroom apartment, and he lived in the living room, I lived in the bedroom, and everything was fine. And I might look him up and ask him if he wants to do some kind of a deal like that where he's living with me instead and rents the bedroom, because I could use extra money when I move, because it's going to be money's going to be so tight. I'm not going to have the funds to do things that I want to do, like going to magic drafts and stuff. Because $36 once, or preferably twice a week, that's a lot of money. And with my funding, I can't afford it. Can't afford it. And there are ways I can make some money, like collecting recyclables. But like I was saying before, they've really cracked down on people doing that. Like if you go to a grocery store and try to grab a cart late at night, the wheels will lock up when you try to leave the parking lot. So that's no good, right? And even then, you collect recyclables all night for like 10 hours, 12 hours. And if you're lucky, you'll get $100. If you're really lucky, and that's less than minimum wage, right? And the best night I ever did, I had like $130. That's it. Typically, I was getting like 50 bucks a night for collecting recyclables. That's all I was getting. So I think collecting recyclables is out of the question. It's just it's out of the question. Um, but I'll figure something out. Like I have to have some kind of side hustle to make money if I want to actually have a life and actually doing things with my life. Because after rent, having a little over $600 to buy my food, tobacco, and medication, that's just gonna cover that barely, and it's not gonna leave me with anything to do do things I like doing, like playing Magic. That's my main concern, is playing at booster drafts, $36 a pop, right? But I'll have to deal with that when it comes. Like if I wasn't on the finasteride, that would be extra money, but my GST check every 3 months, that goes to finasteride. So I had to make that call to save my hair, right? Now I could start wheeling and dealing, like buying and selling stuff, but I don't want to deal with people, right? And I would need funds to start up with doing something like that, and I got nothing. Um, I think maybe if I could line up a casual job where I'm working 1 or 2 shifts a week, like that would be great. And I might try to do that. Like if I could get a dishwashing position in the city where I'm washing dishes like 1 day a week, just on their busy night, like Saturday night or something like that, that would be pretty good. That'd be decent. Because that would give me all the funds I need. That would give me like an extra $400 a month, and $400 a month, I could do everything I want to do. So I will look into, getting some kind of casual job where it's just like 1 shift a week, right? And, you know, that'll be decent, I think. Cuz the thing about working 1 shift a week somewhere is if they lose you and you don't get into work for a while, they're not going to miss you that much, right? Cuz if you're a full-time employee working 40 hours a week and you fuck off and stop coming to work for whatever personal reasons, they're gonna miss you because you're there all the fucking time. Whereas if you're there 1 shift a week, they're not gonna miss you if you just fuck off and you know stop going to work. And it's not like I'm gonna fuck off and start going to work, but I have to be realistic and realize that I could have a schizophrenic episode and stop going to work for a month, and I need money to keep coming in, right? And I need to think about the employer. And if that happens, the employer is not in a very tight position because, obviously, if I'm working 1 shift a week, they're gonna have people that'll cover me. Whereas if I'm one of the fallback guys that's working full time and they lose me, that means one of the temporary guys would have to fill in for me, and it should be roles reversed, right? But I'm thinking that's what I might do is get a job as a dishwasher in the city, just like 1 day a week, and that would be it. But it shouldn't be difficult because the dish in the city in the summertime, all the bars and restaurants are crying for dishwashers because it's so hard to find a good dishwasher because most of them are just slack-jawed faggots that want to do drugs and they only come to work half the time and they fuck off the rest of the time. And you know the world is full of young guys that don't want to do anything or be responsible at all, because I've known plenty of young guys when I lived in the city, and they didn't want to work. They wanted to panhandle on the side of the street, get $100 in a day, then use that $100 to buy cigarettes, drugs, and alcohol for a couple days, get high and drunk, and have a good time. And then when the money's gone, panhandle again. They're on their own schedule, doing it whenever they want, whenever they need money, and they just don't want to work a 40-hour week or be committed to a schedule. And that's what a lot of the young guys were like. And you know, it's it's crazy because when I was at homeless shelters, it they were full of young guys like that just didn't want to do anything. Some of them did have legit mental problems, but they should have been like in a mental institution. Some of those guys, because I knew legit crazy people at those homeless shelters that were just fucked. Um, but they all had issues. Like some of the guys, had problems with authority. I could literally be standing there talking to somebody, and this guy would just come up into my face and tell me off and say that I interrupted him. And I'm like, dude, you were 20 feet away from me talking to somebody else while I was talking to this guy. How the fuck did I interrupt you? And, shit like that. I'll have people get in my face for something stupid that doesn't even make sense. Um, like, I never had a fight when I was at one of the homeless shelters. Never. Um, I would just, well, I'm sorry. And then it would happen again 2 minutes later once I opened my mouth and started talking to somebody else. But the same buddy would come up and get in my face and say that I interrupted him again. And it's like, are you for real, buddy? Are you for real, dude? Like, just chill, relax. Like, nobody cares about that shit. Nobody cares if I even did interrupt you. Like, you know, but some people, it's like they just want to cause a problem. They just have to have an issue with somebody. They want to, have a confrontation. And anytime that I had a confrontation at one of these homeless shelters with one of the other homeless bums, they were they were never much. They were never much of anything. They were always really skinny and out of shape, and they weren't much at all. Yeah, like I wasn't intimidated at all, and I was just couldn't believe it. I was like, seriously, you're getting in my face with something that stupid? Like there was one day I was sitting down to my meal inside the shelter, and this guy comes over and he's like, "You took my spot." I was gonna sit there, and I was like, "Really? Why don't you just sit in one of the other 30 spots around me?" And he's like, "No, I want to sit there. That's my spot." And I was like, "Fine." And I moved over a seat, and he took the spot that I was sitting in. It's like, seriously, like I'm not gonna cause a scene over it because it's not that big of an inconvenience for me to move. I have to be the bigger man. Somebody has to be the bigger man, and obviously he wasn't because he was like that big to me because he could have literally just took one of the other seats at the other three tables that were almost completely empty. Shit like that I would have happen when I was at these shelters, and it's ridiculous. But a lot of those guys, they have an issue with themselves, and yeah. But yeah, I think getting a job as a dishwasher, a couple shifts a week, short shifts like 4 to 6 hours each shift, would be good. Right, and a lot of you might argue with me and be like, well, if you can do 4 to 6 hours, 2 shifts, you should be able to do a 40-hour a week job. Well, no, it's not happening. Just don't even worry about it. I know what I'm doing with my life, and you don't have to worry about it, okay? Because when I was younger, I always assumed people that were disabled or on welfare were just lazy bums and didn't want to work. It's not the case at all, right? Like, we've all known guys that were disabled, because of a bad back, and almost every weekend they'd be chucking firewood. And you want to say that they're scum of the earth because, they're chucking firewood when they have a bad back disabled. Well, the thing is, there's a difference between chucking firewood for like 6 hours on a Saturday once every 2 weeks and chucking firewood for 50 or 60 hours every week. There's a big difference. Obviously, high repetition work like that is going to aggravate your back. And if you're just doing it occasionally, you're probably going to be okay. And like if you have a committed job where you're working 40 hours a week, 50 hours a week, you can't just fuck off and call in whenever you need to and say, oh, I can't come into work today, my back's hurting. You can't do that. Like your boss is relying on you. Um, but if you have an occasional job, just a casual job where, a couple times a month you'll do a half day doing firewood and you call in and say, I can't make it today, my back's acting up, they'll be like, okay. Like they're not going to miss you. They hardly ever see you, right? Um, and obviously, if you're chucking firewood 40, 50 hours a week, only the strongest backs are going to be able to handle that anyway. Like you don't even have to have a back problem for your back to act up. So just think how it is for these guys with a bad back. how bad it's going to hurt their back doing 50 or 60 hours a week throwing firewood around, right? So, you got to look at things from a different point of view, right? Just you can't assume just because someone's disabled that they're in a wheelchair for the rest of their life and they physically can't do anything. That's not the case, right? It's not the case. Um, it means you're limited in what you can do with activities, right? And I'm limited. Like, I'm not completely disabled where I'm in a wheelchair or completely mentally incapacitated and can't function in the real world. It's not like that, right? Um, Obviously. But it's been a 30-minute video, so we're going to cut it off there, and I'll see you boyos on the MISC.